Let's cut the bullshit. Her scent is still imprinted on your skin from the last time you were together. You can still see that specific look in her eyes, a potent cocktail of worship, sin, and the primal fear of exposure. You believe you're special, the one she chose to break free from her manicured, sterile existence. You tell yourself this is a rare, forbidden love. Well, let me shatter your delusion. This isn't love. It's a contract. And today, you will receive every clause in the fine print. You are not her white knight. You are a powerful narcotic. Her private designer drug she uses to escape the agony of a life called routine and feel a pulse again. You are her portal to a dimension where she is worshipped, wicked, and unbound by rules. But every potent substance has a warning label. The moment you alter the dose, demand a say, or attempt to become her whole world, you will be unceremoniously disposed of. With no notice and no final paycheck, this dialogue isn't about right or wrong. Morality is for the spectators judging from the safety of the stands. You and I, we're down in the arena. And today, you will be handed the unspoken code of the arena. 10 savage, pragmatic, but absolutely essential rules that will give you command of this lethal game. Not just to survive, but to claim your prize, uncut pleasure, the feeling of absolute power, and a life with zero complications. We're not staying in the shallows. We will perform a psychological autopsy on the married woman, putting her secret cravings and your most common blunders under the microscope. We will cover how to assert dominance in the bedroom, how to move through her digital world, and how to exit this affair with your dignity intact, not with a shattered ego. If you violate a single one of these rules, you will shift from being the source of her ecstasy to the source of her anxiety. And in her meticulously curated world, anxiety is dealt with by one swift method: amputation. Before we dissect the first rule of this pragmatic and honest code, I ask one thing of you. If you can already sense this conversation will be raw and unfiltered, hit the like button. If you're new here and you don't fear the unvarnished truth, subscribe. What you are about to learn is something no therapist will ever dare to tell you. And just before we begin, I'm curious about our reach. Drop your city in the comments. Let's see where the men prepared for a brutally honest discussion are gathering from. Part 1. The rules of digital hygiene. This is your first, most vital perimeter of defense. 99% of all amateur lovers are incinerated right here on the digital minefield. One ill-timed call, one sentimental text, one saved photograph, and your fragile empire of secrecy implodes, burying you in the fallout. You must internalize this as law. In this game, your phone is not your link to her. It is a potential instrument of your own demolition in her hands. It's the flight recorder from a crash, and her husband will be the one meticulously analyzing the data. Your only job is to ensure that recorder is wiped clean. Let's detail the articles of digital stoicism you must embrace with fanatical devotion. Rule 1. Never make the first call. We've already established the core principle. She must always initiate. Now let's delve into the psychology of this ironclad law. This isn't merely about operational security. It's the core principle of power dynamics in your affair. Picture her life as a placid, sterile lake. Everything is scheduled, orderly, and predictable. Her call to you is her deliberate decision to hurl a rock into that stillness. It is her act of will, her desire, her calculated risk. She has chosen the time, scanned the environment, confirmed her safety, and most critically, she has felt the hunger. Her call is the signal of a predator on the hunt. I crave you. The territory is secure. Let the game begin. It is her thrill, her adrenaline, her power. Your call, by contrast, is an invasion from an outside force. It is a rock thrown into her lake by an unknown hand. You are storming her reality blind, ignorant of the circumstances on the other side. Let's paint the scene. She's on the sofa with her husband, watching a show. His arm is draped over her shoulder. At that exact moment, her phone buzzes on the table. The screen flashes Dave, a key repair. Her heart seizes. Her system isn't flooded with the dopamine of anticipation. It's a shot of pure cortisol, the hormone of stress. She must react, decline, invent a reason for a repairman calling at 9 p.m. She's forced to lie, deflect, and panic. With one button, you've transformed her from a lover simmering with desire into a cornered animal. And what do you think your name will be associated with after that? Ecstasy or dread? You know your role. You are the escape, not the complication disguised as a service call. Now, for the subtler element, the power of scarcity. A man who awaits her signal becomes, by definition, a scarce commodity. He is not in abundance. He does not chase. He is the prize she must come to claim. Your radio silence creates a psychological vacuum she feels an intense urge to fill. She begins to wonder, why hasn't he reached out? What is he doing? Is there someone else? These thoughts are the most potent aphrodisiac. They amplify her desire. The man who initiates, who texts, "Hey, how's your day?" is a man in surplus. He's a clearance rack item. He radiates neediness and emotional famine. She did not come to you for that. Need and domesticity are what she is escaping from. From you. She requires your hunger for her body, not your hunger for her validation. Let her be the one who waits. Let her be the hunter. Your role is to be ever ready to answer her summons and make it an unforgettable conquest, but never, ever initiate it. You are a sleeper cell, awaiting the activation code. Do not attempt to contact command. That is mission abort, rule 2. Be a ghost in her phone. We've covered this, but let's magnify the details. Becoming a ghost isn't just a tactic. It's an entire philosophy, a digital stoicism. In her world, to her husband, friends, and colleagues, you do not have a name or a face. You are an apparition. Your digital trail must be non-existent, as if you were never there. What does this demand in practice, down to the last byte, the contact name? We've confirmed. No lover, no your real name. Only a bland utilitarian alias. Jim, plumbing, Mike, IT support. A name her husband would glance at and dismiss without a second thought. But there's a master level. Suggest she save you under a woman's name. Megan, hair. Chloe, yoga. This is a stroke of genius. A call from another woman almost never triggers a man's suspicion. This renders you almost completely invisible. The ultimate expression of this, as discussed, is for your number not to be saved at all. She knows it by heart. This elevates your connection to a clandestine ritual, known only to her text threads. Erase all chat histories. Your communication on messaging apps is not a romance novel. It is the exchange of codes to coordinate a rendezvous. Brief, functional, direct. Our place, 7 tomorrow? Confirmed. That is all. Once the meeting is set and has concluded, the entire thread must be annihilated. On both devices. You must enforce this as a non-negotiable protocol from day one. Frame it not as paranoia, but as the ultimate act of protecting her. This is your shared digital hygiene. After every encounter, you don't just part ways. You sterilize the scene. Your dialogues, filled with lust and suggestion, must exist only in the moment, in the electricity between you, not on her smartphone's hard drive, because her phone's memory is a potential confessional that will lead to a conviction. And finally, the most tempting and treacherous element: media. Photos and videos. On this, the rule is singular and absolute. Never. No photos together. Not just for us. Not even if she looks like a divine being and pleads with you to immortalize the moment. The instant you activate the camera, you manufacture hard evidence. You sign the death certificate of your affair. A single image of you together is the document that upgrades your status from delicious sin to premeditated adultery. Now, the finesse. You must frame this correctly, not as "it's too risky," but as "I don't need a picture because the real image of you is seared into my mind." Tell her, "I have no interest in pixels. I want the memory of your scent, the sound of your voice when you break, the feeling of your nails on my back." Your objective is to leave traces in her neurons and on her body, not on a silicon chip. Let her be haunted by the sensations, not the selfies. Those are the only files no one can ever recover. Rule 3. Never talk about your future. This rule is the ultimate red line. It is the boundary which, when crossed, instantly transforms you from a lover into a liability. Burn this into your mind and repeat it like a prayer. Your domain is the here and now. Your currency is the present moment. That secluded island of raw, animalistic, unfiltered hedonism where she escapes from her scheduled, predictable, and frankly, soul-crushingly dull life. What constitutes her future? Her future is her husband's jurisdiction. It is the mortgage payment in 10 years, the visit to her mother's birthday next month, enrolling their child in school in 2 years. It's a spiderweb of duties and promises. It is the very thing she seeks asylum from in your arms. She is a fugitive from the prison of the future, seeking sanctuary in the freedom of the now. So picture it. You are lying together after a mind-blowing encounter. She is languid and euphoric. And in that moment, you drop the fatal words. "It would be incredible to take a trip together next summer... What happens inside her mind? A circuit breaks. She is jolted from liberated, desired goddess mode straight back into stressed, calculating wife mode. Her brain begins an immediate threat assessment. A trip? How? I'd have to take time off. Lie to my husband. Get the money. What if we're seen? In your attempt to create a beautiful image, you have just dragged her back into her cell. You have shifted from being her source of liberty to another source of logistical nightmares. You have been demoted from the ecstasy category to the project management category. She already has one long-term, high-maintenance project. She has absolutely no desire for another. Here, we are touching the fundamental architecture of the psyche, which Freud mapped so brilliantly. She is with you to unleash her id, her repressed instincts, her carnal appetites, her dark, ravenous self. Her marriage and social life are the domain of her superego, the realm of duty, regulations, appearances. And what will others think? When you try to pull her into discussions about the future, you commit a psychological foul. You attempt to chain her wild, liberated ID with the suffocating leash of the superego. You try to domesticate the wild panther that came for a midnight hunt, forcing it to get vaccinations and a travel gauge. This annihilates the magic and the animalistic charge. Your power is rooted in absolute impermanence, in the reality that each encounter might be the last. This is what generates the delicious tension, the very eroticism she is starved for. Talk about anything else, her body, her filthiest fantasies, what you plan to do to her the next time you meet. That is a safe future, confined to your next encounter. But never breach the event horizon of the present. The larger future is a toxin that will instantly poison your perfect. Forbiddance Moment, Part 2, The Rules of the Social Role. If the first section was about your technical security, this one is about your performance art. You are playing a character. A very precise, very crucial character for her. The moment you break character, the play is over, and you will be unceremoniously ejected from the theater. So learn your lines. Rule 4. You are her escape, not her therapist. Consider her life. It is most likely a loop of recurring duties, obligations, and compromises. Home, career, children, husband, logistics. This is her prose. She seeks you out for poetry, for a flash of lightning, for an emotion that rips her from the monotony. She comes to you to feel like a woman again, not the CEO of a domestic enterprise. And so she arrives. What do 90% of amateur lovers do? They see her weary expression and commit a fatal error. They offer a sympathetic ear. They begin absorbing her complaints about her husband, her in-laws, her boss. They become a therapist, her listening post. This feels like a noble act. It feels like it brings you closer. In truth, it is the beginning of the end. The instant you allow her to unload her life's baggage onto you, you cease to be an escape. You become a continuation of her problems. Your name is no longer associated with passion and freedom, but with the very same gray world she is trying to flee. Your domain is the domain of pleasure, laughter, spontaneity, exhilaration. Your function is not to analyze how miserable she is there, but to make her ecstatically happy here. Redirect her. Tear off the mask of the exhausted woman. Make her laugh. Astonish her. Do something unpredictable. Your mission is to make her forget her other life for the few hours you are together, not to conduct a two-person support group. The moment she learns she can come to you to unload, she will do it more and more. But she will undress less and less, because you don't sleep with your therapist. You pay them and walk away. In your case, she will just walk away. Rule 5. Never speak ill of her husband. This is the most paradoxical and vital rule in the entire code. On the surface, what could be more logical? She herself complains about him. She has come from him to you. He is therefore your mutual adversary. And by criticizing him, you become her ally. This is a fatal miscalculation. Burn this into your brain. You are never to speak negatively of him, even when she is the one leading the charge. Why? Because he is her choice. He is woven into the fabric of her identity. He is the father of her children, the man she has shared years of her life with. Every critical word you utter about him is not just an attack on him. It is an attack on her judgment. By criticizing him, you are implicitly telling her, you were a fool to choose this man and to stay with him. You are invalidating her life's narrative, and no woman will ever forgive that. She is permitted to criticize him. That is her internal affair, her exclusive right. But you are an outsider. You are forbidden. Your perfect stance is one of detached, sagacious neutrality. She says, he doesn't understand me. You do not reply, because he's a self-absorbed prick. You reply, human connection is a complex thing. She says, he forgot our anniversary again. You do not say, what a loser. You pull her closer and say, what I haven't forgotten is that you are here with me now. And that is the only anniversary that matters. You constantly shift the focus from their drama to your reality. You refuse to be the third man in their marital boxing ring. You remain in your own universe. This demonstrates your strength, your maturity, and your respect for her choices, however flawed. Let her untangle her own life. Your duty is to be the superior alternative, not the superior critic. Let her be the one to make the comparison and draw the conclusion. Without your help, Rule 6. Be invisible to her world. Your affair operates like two quantum realities. They coexist, but must never, under any circumstances, be allowed to observe one another. You are a denizen of her secret reality. Any attempt you make to breach her primary, official reality is an act of aggression and a prelude to catastrophe. What does this mean in practical terms? No chance encounters. You do not happen to be at the same grocery store she visits on Saturdays. You are not just in the neighborhood of her office at lunchtime. For her, every one of these coincidences is not a delightful surprise. It is a jolt of terror. It is the risk of being seen, identified. It is a breach of your core contract, the contract of invisibility. No attempts to infiltrate her social ecosystem. Do not try to befriend her inner circle. Do not like her social media posts unless you are already connected through an ironclad, pre-existing cover story. You must be an apparition to her world. The man who does not exist. The fewer people who know of your existence, the more secure your connection is, and the more valuable you become, because you are her private, exclusive secret. And a secret loses all its power the moment others begin to suspect its existence. Understand this simple truth. Her world is her fortress. It may be a dull and predictable one, but it is her territory, governed by her laws. You are a visitor from another plane of existence. A visitor invited in secret, under the cover of darkness, through a hidden passage. If that visitor suddenly starts rattling the main gates in daylight, he will be dealt with swiftly and severely. Respect her boundaries. Relish your role as the man from nowhere. It possesses its own dark, potent charm. You are her secret, and the only good secret is one that can never be discovered. Part 3. The Rules of the Territory of Sin. We have now arrived at the very heart of your affair, the reason for its existence, the molten core of the volcano. Her marriage is more, often than not, a land of habit, duty, and predictability. Your bed is a land of absolute freedom. It is her personal laboratory for testing the desires she dare not even admit to herself. Your function here is not merely to be a skilled lover. Your function is to be her guide through the dark, winding corridors of her own soul. Rule 7. Be her dark side. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung defined the shadow as the part of our personality we repress, deny, and fear. It contains our unacceptable thoughts, our forbidden appetites, our inner demons. A good wife and a respectable woman cultivates a massive shadow. For years, she performs the role of the prim, socially sanctioned lady. But the shadow never vanishes. It accumulates, it seethes, it demands an outlet. And that is where you enter. You are the one person to whom she can reveal her shadow. In fact, she is counting on you to call it out of her. She does not come to you for the gentle tenderness of a romantic movie. That is her husband's department. Assuming, of course, that department is still open for business. She comes to you for fire, for friction, to feel like a bad girl. And your job is to grant her that experience. This is not about being cruel or abusive. It is about being dominant, authoritative. It is about knowing how to take her in a way her husband never would, to whisper things in her ear that would make a decent woman flush with shame, but make her soak with desire. Your mission is to perceive her unvoiced hunger. She wants to be controlled. She wants to be taken with force, perhaps even a touch of roughness. She wants to see the faint marks of your possession on her skin tomorrow, tracing them in the mirror and reliving every second. You are her sin, and you must inhabit that role completely. Be the devil who has come to claim the soul of the fallen angel. It is for the exquisite sensation of that fall that she has come to you. This is the level of insight you will find in all of my content. If this is the perspective you have been searching for, now would be the perfect moment to subscribe. Rule 8. Never stay till morning. The night is your domain. It is a magical time when the masks of society are cast aside and primal instincts reign. The night is a shadow play, and you are the lead actors. But then dawn breaks, and with the first light of day, the magic evaporates. Morning is the domain of domesticity. It is the smell of brewing coffee, the chime of an alarm, the necessity of brushing teeth and planning the day. Morning is her husband's domain, and there is no place for you in it. To stay until morning is to commit a territorial violation. You are trespassing. You morph from a creature of the night, a lover, into a houseguest. Just another man, unshaven, and bleary-eyed, around whom she has to conceal the evidence of your passion. This demolishes your entire mystique. Your power lies in your perfectly timed exit. You must fade into the darkness as mysteriously as you appeared. The dawn escape is not merely a security measure. It is a ritual that protects your status. See it this way. You are an elite operative deep in hostile territory. Your mission is to execute the objective and exfiltrate without leaving a trace. Waking up together, sharing an awkward breakfast, plotting your stealthy exit from the apartment, that is a compromised mission. That is domesticity. And domesticity is the antidote to eroticism. Your legend must be kept pristine. You are a nocturnal vision, a beautiful dream that dissipates at sunrise. Leave her alone with her thoughts, with the lingering scent of you on her sheets, and with a burning ache to have you again as soon as possible. Exit at the peak while the night is still yours. The morning belongs to her other life, and you must not even be a spectator to that life. Respect the border between night and day. It is the border of your kingdom. Part 4. The final rules of existential security. We have reached the apex. The most difficult, most savage, but most essential rules. If the first 3 sections were about tactics, this is about the strategy of your own survival. This is not about secrecy or social roles. This is about your own soul. Your ability to walk away from this game, not just whole, but as the victor. Because this is the phase where most men shatter and lose everything. Rule 9. Never fall in love. This sounds like the coldest, hardest commandment. How can you share so much time, so much intimacy with a woman and not develop feelings? You can. You must. Or, at a bare minimum, you must never, under any circumstances, reveal that you have fallen into that trap. Why is this so critical? Because the instant the words "I love you" leave your mouth, or the moment you begin demanding more of her time, more of her attention, more of her life, you cease to be the solution to her problems and become her single biggest problem. Your stock plummets from asset to liability, from a celebration to a migraine. She is not with you to build a new life. She is with you to patch the holes and compensate for the deficiencies in her existing one. You are a high-end prosthetic that helps her navigate her life. But no woman will ever amputate her own leg, however flawed, for even the finest prosthetic in the world. Once you fall in love, you become jealous. You start asking questions. What did you do this weekend? Why didn't you text me back? You begin to lay claim to territory that is not yours. And this terrifies her. She fled her husband's control only to find herself under yours. It is the worst possible outcome. Your value to her is directly proportional to your emotional self-sufficiency. As long as you are carefree, exciting, independent, and demand nothing beyond the time she freely offers, your value is immense. The moment you become needy, possessive, and lovesick, you are finished. You will be liquidated. Perhaps not immediately. She may tolerate it for a short while out of pity, but the outcome is certain. Love is the currency in her husband's world. In your world, the currency is passion and freedom. Never mix up the accounts. Rule 10. Be ready to disappear at any moment. This is the final bitter truth. This is the pill you must swallow, but it is also your ultimate inoculation against heartbreak. You must brand one simple fact onto your brain. You are a limited-time engagement. You are a seasonal contract worker in the garden of her life. Your function is to arrive, perform your duties with excellence, derive your pleasure, and be fully prepared for the contract not to be renewed. Without notice, without cause, without a severance package, one day she will simply cease to reply. Or she will send a sterile message. "I'm sorry, we can't do this anymore." And that will be the end. Why? The reasons are infinite. She reconciled with her husband, and they are in a second honeymoon phase. She had a close call and decided the risk is no longer worth it. She found a new lover who provides a more potent thrill. Or, the most bruising possibility, she simply grew tired of you. You were the prescription, and the course of treatment is complete. The patient has recovered and no longer requires your services. At this juncture, you have two possible paths. The amateur's response. You start calling, demanding answers, debasing yourself, trying to claw something back. This path leads only to humiliation and the utter annihilation of your self-respect. And then there is the professional's move. You accept her decision in silence. You vanish. You delete her number and you move on with your life. The only way to win this game is to be prepared to walk away first, or, at the very least, to accept her departure with quiet dignity. Your emotional independence, your readiness for any outcome, is your only weapon and your only shield. Remember, she owes you nothing, and you owe her nothing. It was a contract, and the contract has expired. We have dissected 10 brutal rules. But I know life is always more complex than any manual, and this channel is a gathering of thousands of men with profound life experience. So my final question to you is this. What 11th unwritten rule would you add to this code from the pages of your own life? Post it in the comments. Let's forge the most comprehensive encyclopedia for this dangerous game. Right here, conclusion. The art of being a vacation, not a new life. So after navigating all the circles of this cynical, yet honest inferno, who are you? A petty thief stealing moments from another's marriage? No. A cliché, self-important seducer from a trashy novel? Not even close. If you have not just listened, but have fully integrated these 10 rules, you are something far more. You are a strategist, a grandmaster who sees the entire board 10 moves into the future. You are a surgeon performing a high-stakes emotional procedure in hostile territory, collecting your payment in pure, uncut passion, and then vanishing, leaving behind no scars and no evidence. You have accepted the fundamental truth. You are her vacation from her life. And an elite, 5-star vacation is prized precisely because it is finite. It delivers an explosion of sensation. It allows for a total system reboot, but nobody lives permanently on vacation. The moment you attempt to convert the holiday into a permanent residence, you devolve from a welcome guest into a problem that must be dealt with. By internalizing these harsh but truthful rules, you ignite an inner revolution. You fundamentally alter the paradigm of your existence within this affair. You cease to be a reactive, passive victim of her moods and circumstances. You become the master of them. You no longer wait in anguish, hoping she might one day leave her husband. You do not want her to, because you understand on a primal level that her departure would mean the end of the game, the end of the celebration, and the beginning of the very domesticity she sought to escape with you. You are no longer tormented by jealousy, because you grasp a brilliantly simple concept. Her husband is not your rival. He is your unwitting business partner. He is the guarantor of your absolute freedom. He is the one who absorbs the full weight of her moods, her problems, her financial burdens, and her family obligations, leaving for you only the exquisite nectar. Think about it. You are receiving from this affair what millions of men in marriages can only dream of. You get the purest extract of female desire, admiration, and raw, primal energy, completely distilled and free from the additives of domestic life, problems, arguments, and duties. You get her at her absolute peak, her best celebratory version, a version even her husband rarely sees. She comes to you adorned, hungry, and yearning. She will not discuss the mortgage or her child's grades with you. She will speak to you with her body. And for this entire feast of flesh and spirit, Your only payment is your ironclad readiness to release her at any moment. Your dignity, your self-sufficiency. This is the highest art and the ultimate privilege of the lover. To be unforgettable, but not irreplaceable. Your goal is not to become a fixture in her life. Your goal is to become the part of her memory she can never erase. To become the secret benchmark, the gold standard of passion against which she will, perhaps for the rest of her days, measure all other men, including her own husband. That is your silent, invisible triumph. And it can only be won by maintaining a cool head and an unshakable respect for yourself. By protecting your freedom, your dignity, and your own life, you can exit this dangerous game with maximum returns and minimal losses. Remember this, and play the game beautifully.